You are listening to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you live from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I'm Andrew Canales, coming to you live from Evergreen, Colorado.
Every day, veterans are struggling with many issues spanning from homelessness to mental health crisis, often leading to 22 veterans a day taking their own lives. There are veterans all around the U.S. leading the fight to help guide our brothers and sisters to a better life. We will bring you stories from all around the country, telling tales of veteran struggles and triumph. Every episode benefits veteran-run nonprofits Warriors Next Adventure, helping veterans fight PTSD through recreational therapy and new adventures. And Houses for Warriors, helping solve the homeless crisis, leading veterans to a better lifestyle. What is going on, everybody? Nick here from Veterans Action Report. How's everybody going? We are finally doing a live episode after 2 weeks of doing some pre-recording. So about 2 weeks ago, I was in Colorado with Andrew, and we decided to rent out a studio. So we just filmed two. Excuse me, guys. We just filmed two episodes in a row to make it easy. So Andrew's not with us today. I had a great time in Colorado. I just want to talk a little bit about my experience while I was out there. First off, altitude sickness was kicking me while I was down, and it was obnoxious. Took a couple COVID tests, and it all came back negative. So not sure exactly what was going on, but I still pushed through the week. So the reason why I was there, there's this organization called Convergence Seminars, and Andrew's going through it right now. He's in the 90-day course, and I came out for the Explorer course, which is a 3-day course on essentially life building and how to, make it over that hump that we're all kind of struggling on. And it was actually very insightful. It was very useful. But the main thing that I learned was how much I've actually grown since I started my journey in 2015. As many of you know that I attempted suicide in 2015, and it didn't work out. And I set off on a journey to essentially heal and find out, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who is that person inside of me that has been trying to get out, and why is it so hard for me to find that person? So what I ended up doing is I started doing research. I started studying suicide, depression, veterans, military, like why nowadays it's so hard for veterans to overcome PTSD when back in the day, they eventually just got over it. Suicide epidemic wasn't really an issue back then, but it is now. What's up, Phil? How you doing? And now for some reason, so many veterans are taking their own lives. It's somewhere around 146,000 veterans in the last 20 years. That is insane. Dating back to the Korean War, that's more deaths that we've had since the Korean War. So something needs to change. And luckily, through my experiences, I found that, helping veterans was something that I really wanted to do, but it was only after I helped myself. There's too many people out there trying to help others and not focusing on themselves. When I get accused of it a lot, but people don't understand the amount of work that I actually do on myself on a daily basis. I spend the majority of my time helping other people, but I always make time for myself, always. And you always should love yourself. And so going through this weekend course, I met a lot of really amazing people. But mostly I kind of came back in tune into, the acceleration of my growth. I feel like I was starting to plateau a little bit, and that class actually helped me kind of push me back into what I was trying to do. So I had a great time. The people there were amazing. Check out Convergence Seminars. I'm not going to lie. It was totally worth it. It was a good class. And if any of you guys, want to head there, go ahead and contact me, contact Andrew. Andrew would probably be the better contact, because he's the one that got me out there in the first place. A lot of it had to do with essentially what I teach veterans, self-accountability, realizing that we are the source is the phrase that they continue to say. My phrase that I use with Warriors Next Adventure all the time is I tell people, listen, you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control your reaction. No matter what happens, you can control your reaction. If you do nothing, that is an action. That is an action of nothing, right? You are acting to not act, essentially. But you have the choice, right? Nobody forces you to do anything. And we need to be responsible for ourselves and realize that any choices that we make is going to affect other people. And you have to think, why am I making these decisions? And so back in the day, I realized, how often I was hurting other people. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I was not a great person back before my 2015 turnaround. And I realized that I don't ever want to intentionally hurt somebody ever again. And so I decided, I made a promise to myself that I was going to make at least one person laugh every day the rest of my life. And I was going to do better to actually find out, who am I? I taught a class the other day for the Warrior Path, for every third Saturday, and I'm now one of the keynote speakers for that class. It's an amazing program. Go check out every third Saturday Warrior Path. They're doing amazing things there. It's a 5-week course where veterans actually get to go in and sit down and listen to courses. I'm sorry, listen to instruction and also listen to guest speakers and take multiple classes. They get massive amounts of resources, like from the VSOs, the local VSOs in the area come, the DAV comes, programs that help with homelessness come out. Sorry, guys. I'm still kind of recovering from that whole sickness. But the amazing thing is they get a chance to actually sit down and focus on themselves for 5 weeks. And it's absolutely amazing. And I talked a lot about, one of the questions I often ask people in these speeches is I always ask them, who is your hero? And oftentimes people tell me, a football player or their father or their mother, which isn't a bad thing. You can admire and look up to people, but I always ask them, why isn't it you? And that's a question that screws with a lot of people. And often the answer that I hear all the time is, oh, I haven't done anything worthy of being a hero. And that's when the work comes in. You need to stop and think, and you need to actually manifest who you want to be. We can all do that. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care, what you've done in the past. I don't care who you've hurt. You can manifest yourself as a better person tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, 5 years from now. I like to stick, to like 4 to 5 years. Who is Nick Ron going to be in 4 to 5 years? And I tell people all the time, when I attempted suicide in 2015, I didn't think the person who could have stopped me existed. So I decided to become that person. I decided to create that person in my head and actually take the time and research and do the studying and actually read documents and read research papers and do everything I could to become that person who could have pulled that gun out of my hands. And luckily, about 5 years after that, I actually physically myself pulled a gun out of a veteran's hands. We started the crisis intervention suicide hotline. We started this nonprofit, and it's amazing what we get to do. The joy and happiness that I get from this nonprofit is something that I've never felt in my entire life. It's such an amazing thing. And for me, it not only does it help me help other people, but it's selfish because it's for me. It's my therapy. And I love what I get to do because I get to provide opportunities for other veterans, right? So again, like this course made me just stop and think like you've done a lot of growing. You've done a lot of growth, but it's never done. I'm continuing to move on and try to learn as much as I can to continue to help as much as I can. I feel like if I'm not focusing on myself and doing my best to actually grow as much as I can, especially like reading books on Audible. I think I've read like 30 books in the last year on Audible, which is hard for me because I can't physically read anymore because of my concussions and stuff. But I'm going to challenge every single one of you. And, we try to use this program and this platform to help people improve and help connect veterans to resources. But I'm going to challenge every single one of you guys listening today to actually take some time and focus on yourself. Not in a selfish way, but self-care. The sixth principle of my 6 principles to improve your state of mind is love yourself. We all need to take the time to learn who we are and understand that we can change if we want to. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you've done. It's possible. So with that, I'm done with my rant. And yes, Tommy, these are new Warriors Next Adventure sweatshirts. We finally got some. We've been waiting for years. It says live a life of purpose for those who can't. And on the back, it's got the symbol. We haven't started selling those yet, but we will soon. So moving on to today's guest. I actually had the luxury of meeting Joel when I was in Colorado. We've been talking here and there. I knew about him before we actually connected, and it was an honor to actually get to talk to him. I was on his show, the H Train Show, on Military Broadcast Radio. Joel has an amazing story. He's done some really cool things, and I'm really excited to interview this guy. So I'm going to bring him on, guys. Joel, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good. Enjoying
Sorry for that
the
long
day
rant.
off.
Yeah,
No,
day
that's
off.
okay. That's okay. I totally get why he was I wouldn't say upset, but why he was saying, "Hey, I need a day off." Everybody needs a day off. But the problem is, it's hard to take a day off when that guy next to you you can't really do your job unless he's doing his job, so you don't really get to take a day off. Why? Because like he was talking about the volunteer, the nonprofit stuff, you work out of passion, you don't work on a paycheck kind of thing. So
Yeah, exactly. I like what Phil said. So Philip D. Blackman has a show, and I will have him on the show very soon. I love the guy who's an instructor down in oh god, what was it? Fort Bliss. And great dude. He's got a good show. Go check out the Philip D. Blackman show. Love you, buddy. So a little bit about yourself. You had me on the H Train show. So what does H Train stand for? That's something I've been wanting to ask you.
I've heard a lot of stories. So um, I was called that mainly when I was in the army, my last duty station. I actually had a guy come up to me right before he got blown up, and he's like, "Dude, you should so be like a WWE wrestler, and you should be like the H Train because that's a cool name." And I'm like, "Oh, well." He got me believing this was such a cool name, and I carried it through even like uh, you know, Sochi Russia and everything. And
Mhm.
I think it's been about a year that I found out that H train is kind of like a slang for risky business, meaning a screw up. So my whole nickname directly philosophates or whatever you want to call them. I'm making up words here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's what H train is. It's a screw up. I have no idea, but you know, um, long story short, Nate, I had a great run when it came to the Paralympics, and when I got that Paralympian title, a lot of people were still looking at me, they were still following, and the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish when I was in the U.S. Paralympics, it didn't happen. I kind of failed. Um, Even though I got to be Sochi Rush and all that, but I was trying to bring attention to traumatic brain injuries, especially those that don't have they don't have a visible injury, but
Mhm.
when you talk to me or hear him, me and you've had this discussion before
Sure.
that like I might have a great show and my co-host might be the best in the world, but as long as I have like a speech impediment or a slow drag because of my TBI, my show probably won't ever be as popular as yours. But that's okay because I'm not doing my show for popularity. I'm doing my show for a platform to reach veterans, to reach
Sure.
other TBIs that I feel like they've been lost. Feel like they,
So
you
I
know.
need to say something to you, Joel.
Okay.
You got to stop talking down on yourself, man. Your show's fantastic. You have a
I
great show.
appreciate that. I
You got
appreciate that.
you got to stop. You're putting yourself in an internal prison, man. What you're doing is anytime you talk like that, what you're doing is you're making sure your show won't be good because when you're saying my show is not going to be good, it's not, right? Those who say we can and those who say we can't are usually right. You have a great show. Rob is a great co-host. You guys,
Oh yeah, he's great.
I don't know who the guys are behind the camera. Who was that again?
Pipes. Pipes, and I believe the night that you was there, Willie's came
Okay.
down a little sick, so he hasn't been able to be with us again. But yeah,
You know,
Pipes was amazing.
you know why your show is great? Because you guys are having fun.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
fun show. You
oh
guys are having
yeah,
a great time, and it's very obvious, right? So you gotta stop limiting yourself with that, man. Your show is
okay.
gonna be great. It is great. It already is great, man. You gotta fucking push that shit out there. Ooh, I'm not supposed to swear. Sorry, guys. Um,
It happens to me all the time. I don't
terrible
know
at
if
that.
I don't know if Rob told you or not, but the night that we had you on with Rob,
Mhm.
Rob cussed twice. and we sent him a request from Vimo. He had to pay $2 in the cuss jar because it said the F word. So that $2 will probably go towards the next mixer for the next veteran when we get more money and stuff.
Well, I would be broke if I had a swear jar, but
Right?
no, man. Seriously though, you do have a good show. You should
I
be proud of
appreciate
it.
that.
You do a really good job.
I appreciate
So we're gonna rewind a little bit.
that. Okay.
All right. So you had mentioned that you were in the Paralympics, and what year were
Yeah.
you in the Paralympics?
2014.
2014. So for those who don't know, Joel here is a U.S. Olympian, Paralympian, whatever you want to call it. It's the same fucking thing, right? So there's another one. Shit. So how did this happen, right? How did you do this, and what exactly did you do in the Paralympics? Talk a little bit more about that.
I'm going to tell you, it was funny because when I came back from my third deployment, I don't know what happened, but thank you, PVD. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that.
You guys need to have Phil on your show.
Well, so I believe that we have Phil on our show before. We certainly need to have.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because this year we're really directing it towards motivational speakers for our show. But to kind of head point on when I came back in the third rotation, I don't know why, but with my traumatic brain injury, I guess it just like slowly developed. But I found myself in a wheelchair, and when I was in,
let's go back a little bit farther. What happened? I still don't know what actually happened to you.
Honestly, well, nobody really knows. I think it was just a multiple of all the blasts and all the combined like vehicle accidents that we had while I was there. I mean, hell, dude, the first time I went over there, we were in soft skin Humvees, and we were digging metal out of like the garbage thing and welding shit and putting it together. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to say the
don't worry about it. It's
fine. But we were welding stuff together to make up armored, and then we had the up armored kits, so we didn't have a whole lot. So when we were going down, like anytime there was like a half-ass IED buried or something like that, I mean, no matter what, we was gonna feel the the repercussions. And then I was a combat engineer. I don't know if it's a 12B or a 21B anymore because they keep changing it. But yeah, I blew stuff up, and I was a driver for a 113, and you cannot tell me, even if you back up, I don't know how many yards it is, man, once that blows up, you still feel the repercussions, So
my last TBI in the military was actually in Afghanistan. We found a Russian bunker. We found a bunker full of Russian missiles, and we pulled it out. And we packed a shitload of C4 on it. The EOD did, not us. And so we were only 50, like maybe 50 meters away. And I popped my head up because my headset died. And I was asking, like, hey, when are we blowing this? Boom! It knocked me out. And I woke up next to my driver. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And it wasn't until like a year or two later that I really started getting really bad migraines.
Right.
But those blasts they're insane, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been through multiple, and the VA always is really good about how many times, you just throw out a number, you're like, I don't know. So I don't really know if there's a date of okay, this is when it happened, but it happened. But I will tell you something that I did learn, Nick. When I was in my wheelchair and my parents came down and left everything to take care of me because they were getting ready to put me in Fisher House, my mom taught me that water aerobics is not a way to pick up on chicks. I tell you, dude.
Well, aren't they all like 60, 70 years old?
Oh my God, yes, man.
You probably find yourself a sugar mama there, though.
Dude, Dude, and like, I mean, there wasn't any of it that you could just buy like a paper bag and just, wash your hands with. I mean, all of it was going to create social damage.
Yeah,
So,
that's funny. So okay, so what was the time frame? Was it after you got back from your last deployment when you started noticing something going on, or like what exactly happened? What was the time frame of everything?
let's see here. Came back and like 2007, 2008 time frame. I started going to the VA, and then when I started going to the VA and I started treating my stuff, I started having really weird, like numbing sensation on my whole left side. But that wasn't the real reason why I was in the wheelchair. The real reason why I was in a wheelchair was because of my TBI. I would have quakes. I would have blackouts, dizzy spells, stuff like that. And then when I finally, with water aerobics and different methods of rehabilitation, I finally started to be able to like stand, but I couldn't stand for long periods of time because it was weird. Like I had some kind of like a body climate issue to
Mhm.
where whenever I did stuff, the top of my body would be red hot. So anything that I did with my legs, it powered me. Like we was on a raft trip in Breckenridge, and
Mhm.
like I was so strong with one of my legs and my hands that whenever I worked, a lot of power was coming out. But like I was running hot, they were putting rags and stuff all over my head while like the
Weird.
steam was coming up. It was crazy. They couldn't explain it. And then Breckenridge came up with the idea. They're like, whenever you move and your body runs hard, and that's when you have blackouts and dizzy spells, we have an idea. How about we try you skiing? So then I tried skiing on a TBI thing, and dude, like on the third day, I was already carving.
Really?
Like yeah, it only took me 3 weeks, and I was from green to blues. I was doing black diamonds my first 180 days. I was
Wow.
going back and forth, back and forth. I think at that time I had like a 2008 or a 2009 Chevy S10 truck, and I put like 80,000 miles on it. I had to take a loss and trade it in because like the warranty or whatever
Mhm.
it was gone. And look, everybody's got skills, but I ain't a mechanic. Those maintenance warranties, those things are made for me. I'm one of
No.
those guys that I gotta buy a new car to get the warranty, basically.
Yeah. So what year was this that when you started to learn how to ski?
I learned how to ski December 17th, 2008.
So this is crazy. So in 6 years
Yes,
of skiing, you were in the Paralympics.
yes,
That's beautiful, man. That's
yes,
absolutely amazing. So, is it what was your training like? You were in the 2014 Sochi Olympics in Russia,
yeah.
in the Paralympics. So
Uh-huh.
what was your training like?
Oh my god, dude. It was crazy. Like I would get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. We'd be skiing by 6 a.m. We'd get done around 11 and 12. We'd have lunch. While we have lunch, we would watch video of us skiing. Yeah, it's even more enjoyable when you have to watch other guys too.
So
But
real quick here, we actually have a video of one of your runs. So I want you to kind of just tell us. I want you to tell us like what's actually going on while this video is running. So for those of you that are just listening over the radio, go ahead and head over to Veterans Action Report on YouTube, KGRA on YouTube, and you can see this video as well. So we're gonna add this to the stream real quick. So give us a rundown of what exactly is going on here.
okay. I'm going down this hill thinking, wow, the USJ just spent $5 grand for me to come over here. I hope I don't wreck. As I'm going down these flags, I'm trying to get around these flags as much as possible, as tight as I can. And you kind of have to do it like a drive by. And
Mhm.
it depends on like your foot and your leg ability. You know, you got to put more pressure on one side of your leg. Well, since I can't do that really on my left leg, then every time I hit my, I guess it would be my, every time I hit my left footer, I have to make sure that I'm pressing really hard on my right foot so that I can bend the ski. Because when you press down and you bend the ski, it gives you this popping. And like you can like pop up if you want to, okay?
Yeah.
But instead of popping up, you want to pop across. And that's what I was doing right there.
That dude is so cool to watch you in the Team USA, gear and everything going down the hill, man. That is awesome. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, and like I said, and when I got when I was done, I had all these people looking at me on the platform, and the main reason why I wanted to be a part of the Paralympics was I wanted to show that anybody, if they wanted it bad enough, a regular Joe could make it. But I wanted to show, hey, look, I'm TBI, because the Paralympics, TBI is not a um, a classification. The
Really?
reason why I got classified is because I have paralyzation on my left side, so I can't feel my leg from my knee down. I'm basically like a single amputee, but I have my foot. So, for example, I don't know if you've ever driven, because you have both feeling of your legs. Um, if you've driven a car, have you ever driven a car with like ski boots on?
Yeah, I have actually. It's
Okay,
really difficult.
so that's how, when I walk or I do anything, that's how I feel every day.
Damn, man. So it's absolutely insane. You should be so proud of yourself. Did I know you are from 2008, not knowing how to ski, struggling in a wheelchair, and finally getting to the point where you're actually not only skiing, but you're going down like black diamonds and everything. And then 6 years later, dude, you're in the Paralympics. That's absolutely amazing. That's such an awesome story. When you write your book, dude.
Well, I've been trying to get people to write my book, but you know how it is when you volunteer, you're kind of waiting on their time. So
Sure.
I'm thinking maybe when they're like 65 or 75 and they're officially retired, maybe they'll make it. I have no idea.
Dude, I've been writing my book for about a year now, and I'm maybe 50 pages in, man, and I got so much to do. So I'm trying to keep it fairly short. But man, it's a lot of work because I need to make sure to hit all my points, but I need to make it flow at the same time. And for me, like I can't read very well, like actually physically read because of my TBA military, and then I got knocked out in 2017 at the TBA Muay Thai tournament down in Iowa, and I still don't really remember much. Like I thought it was only one round, but apparently I watched the video a year later, and it was 2 rounds. I had no idea. I thought I got knocked out in the first 10 seconds, but I fought for 2 rounds with completely unconscious. And then 2018, I was the number 5 ranked welterweight in Minnesota in MMA, and I got knocked out by this kid named Joey Hart. And I still remember a lot of what happened. Like I broke my foot on his kneecap, and when I came down, I kind of winced, and he knocked me out. But like after that, it was maybe it took like a week or two for me to start noticing, and then it got really, really bad. And eventually got to the point where like I can't read a sentence anymore. Like I'll go through a paragraph and I'll read like two or three paragraphs and I forget everything. I don't remember anything that I read. But if I listen to an audiobook, I can actually process everything and hold it in. So man, writing
Yeah,
books is it's difficult, man.
I know what you mean. Like I haven't read a book in like 6 or 7 years,
Yeah.
and I finally got the courage to read this one book. It's Will's biography, Will Smith.
Okay.
Dude, man, I'm shitting the bed. I've gotten like I've had it for I think 2 months, and literally like to comprehend it. I think I just got to chapter two. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous how slow I am at reading, but like I can't even comprehend and see it. And it's not just on books. Like I'm watching Netflix The Ozarks today, and like I'm having a hard time realizing what happened in the season before it.
Yeah. Yeah, the memory issues are a pain, dude. Especially
Yeah,
running an organization, right? So Warriors Next Adventure is like we're fairly large. You could consider us nationwide. We have ambassadors in I think 6 different states. Um, can you imagine trying to remember people's names? I can I'll be in somebody and they'll tell me their name and I have to I have to there's a trick that I do to try to remember people's names, right? Especially if it's somebody that like and I hope nobody takes this wrong, but it's somebody that I'm probably never going to interact with again. I don't have the data to store their name, right? But I do my best because I'm trying to be polite and everything. So I have to say like in the back of my head, like you say your name is Joel Hunt. I'll have to say something stupid like Joel Hunt, like something stupid, just so I can remember it. It's so
right.
annoying, and then on top of that, with the suicide hotline and the mentorship stuff that I do, I'm dealing with right now probably about 30 veterans that I talk to on a weekly basis, trying to just guide them through shit. And I got to remember 30 different veterans' names. I got to remember their timelines. I got to remember their. Phil said the Mortal Kombat voices helps remember the names. There you go. But I got to remember all these timelines. I got to remember all these, all their issues. I got to remember all their resources, and I can do it because I love it and I'm so passionate about it. And I think that's why your show is so great too. The H Train show. You really do a fantastic job on it. Speaking of H Train, Military Broadcast Radio is what it's on, and that's a nonprofit that you are the CEO of. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about MBR.
So MBR was when let's see, what year was it? I know Jim Butler. Jim Butler's the one that designed it, one created it in 2003 as an LLC. And then he came to me one day, and I think it was actually 2017. He came into me one day, and he's like, "Well, um, I'm done. I'm out of here." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I got a new wife. I want to play a little, blah blah blah." He's like, "This was the main reason why I did the DJ thing. It helped me get over my divorce. It helped me move on to that next chapter of my life. And
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's what it's helped me, because what I get out of it is um I'm a veteran that can't deploy, can't do anything anymore. So like right now as it stands, if I wasn't doing anything, I I personally would kind of feel like a leech on society. But since I'm doing something, since I was doing the skiing thing and now I'm doing a nonprofit, I don't feel that way. And I think
yeah,
a lot of veterans might feel this way. And they might feel that, hey, if I have something that I belong to, if I have something that I'm a part of, if I have something that I got to focus, and I'm serving the community in a second different way. Well, hell yeah, let's make a veteran a DJ. And then we can, teach him. We can, bring in all the resources from everybody and help them get the gear that they trained on and stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. You're I was looking at your show schedule and everything like that. You guys actually help promote and actually build veteran D, right?
Okay,
Is
I'm
that's
sorry.
kind of the point of what
I don't know if it's breaking up on your end or I'm breaking up on your end,
what
but
about now?
I didn't hear that.
No, that's fine. What about now? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Cool. So you guys actually help veterans who actually want to become DJs or want to host their own radio shows, correct? And you help give them the resources that they need to actually have a platform as well, correct?
Right, right. We provide StreamYard, and for the most part, we provide it's an encoder uh, software. Sam Broadcaster.
Okay. Nice. So do you provide them the equipment, or do they have to have their own broadcast equipment, or how exactly does this work?
As long as we got funds in the account, I always say, yeah, we'll provide the equipment. In the past, I've been told that we should probably say we will help, and that's one of the reasons why we're moving from like a president for me to like a CEO is, you know, sometimes, especially in today's society, you you can't offer everything, even though you want to.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know how to talk. I have the computer skills, but I still have a hard time like talking to people and stuff.
Sure. Well, you know, you for what you're dealing with, you do a pretty good job. But the best part is if you're with an organization, like building a team is the most important thing. Like my initial board members were my buddy Rob and my buddy Daniel because I trust them. You know, I trust them with everything, and I told them what I was trying to do, and they believed me, and they were the first people to actually really support me. Because they were, well, I mean, they were the first ones to really hear about it, but both of them just said, "Hell yeah, I'm down. Let's go." And those are the kind of people that you need. You need the people that are going to get behind you and help you do what you need to do. You know, and I'm slowly building a bigger and bigger team as we go. But my thing is I'm very protective of what I do because what I do, there is zero greed involved and it's not about money. So like, you know, the main thing that we focus on is actually helping veterans, right? We'll get donations and, you know, with the suicide hotline, which is the most important part of our nonprofit, it doesn't cost me anything. It's my phone bill, you know, it's like
Right.
$100 a month. But at the same time, when it comes to doing more and actually really helping people, you know, get out of their shell, we need more money so we can actually do the canoe retreats that we're doing. Like we have the hockey tournament in May, Memorial Weekend on the 28th and 29th, and we're trying to raise about $20,000. That 20,000 will actually get us. It'll get 5 veterans to Colorado. We're still going to do the fundraising lottery just to kind of let the whole point of that is to get other veterans involved. But it's mainly, you know, to help us cover costs and everything like that. But the whole point is I can't do anything by myself. Like I
Right.
can do a pretty good job, but I need a good team that I can rely on. So the guys that I have that you know that are by my side that support me, these guys are so important. You know, and you got some good people on your side too. Like I've met Rob, I think twice now, and he's a great dude. You know, he's a great co-host. You guys do a really good job together, and you're slowly building. You know, you're building a good team. You know, and Rob is a very smart person. You
Oh
know, and it
yeah.
seems like you guys have a good camaraderie between the two of you.
Yeah, believe it or not, before I met Rob, I mean, because I've been doing the show for 7 years. Like the first 2 years I started my show, I ran through like 9 co-hosts because what would happen, just like any start of a job, they would start and they would be like, okay, this is fun, but it's not really bringing any money.
Sure.
And I'm not like the cat's meow like I thought I was going to be. And they quit.
Yeah.
And Rob is the first person that I've met as a co host that, like, he really strongly cares about veterans as much as I do, because
Yeah.
I'm sure that he's just like me when it comes to some of the radio work, and it does it gets to be a burnout sometimes, but it's the best platform to reach veterans, and at the end of the day, I think that's why I keep doing what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have very, very similar, paths when it comes to using our voice for good. Like, I'm so lucky that KGRA gave me this opportunity. You know, it's I needed something at that time too, you know, I was getting ready to have surgery because I had cancer, and it was, like, the day before my surgery, I got a call from somebody who's like, "Hey, you know, these guys want you on the show," and I'm like, "Oh my god, yes." And the like, we're beating CNN weekly. This is just for our time slot. But we're beating CNN, we're beating Fox News, we beat OAN, we beat I mean, we're beating Glenn Beck on some weeks. Like it's crazy how much reach that we have with this on the radio portion, you know, and then we have all the YouTube pages and all the Facebook pages that we share on too. So like I was already doing this with Warriors Next Adventure podcast, and most of my podcasts were getting about like anywhere from 2 to 4,000 views, which is pretty good just for a guy who's just babbling on, you know, trying to help people. Um, you know, and there's a reason why I label this podcast as inspiration slash comedy because, you know, if you're only talking about the hard stuff, right? Suicide, it's really hard and uncomfortable for some people. So
Right.
you have to find a way to make what you're doing. You have to find a way to make what you're doing actually entertaining and to keep people laughing, right? So that humor portion is so important. And you and Rob, you guys flow off each other really well. And I think that's something that your show provides, you know, there's a lot of goofiness with the two of you guys, you know, and I love it. So like especially with some of the you guys have like some skits and stuff that you guys do on the show here and there. I think it's great. So
Well, you should see it now because now instead of us being at the media school, now we're legit. Now we're a podcast in a garage. Okay.
yeah, there you go.
And to be able to come on the radio without echoes in the garage and be a podcast, that seriously takes some skills.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know, so I found a place in Andrew found this place. It's called Creative Density, I believe, or Creative Destiny. It's that place up in Denver that we did our radio show at. I'm actually thinking about doing that here in Minnesota. I'm looking for a space to actually create my own podcast studio.
Yeah, and
So
that's kind of what I want to do here in
yeah,
like the Denver area.
well, I'm thinking about it too, and it's very, very doable. Like there's not much that comes with it, and I don't need a huge space. Like a 10 by 10, I could do a lot with a 10 by 10 space, you know, and then you know set up the thing, and I can start doing something similar. Like you know, I'm not trying to get into running my own thing, but actually having the equipment for people to come in and rent out and use the studio.
Right.
I think it's a great idea, you know.
No,
So I'm
I
actually looking at
totally
doing something
agree.
like that here.
If I could find something like that here in Denver, it would probably be something that I would, um, sign a credit card to or sign a loan to, if I could get that done here in Denver. But man,
Yeah,
the cost of living is just so high here, and
it
then
really
with
is, man.
all this COVID stuff, it's just I don't think it's very wise to try to start up kind of a business during this time frame. So I'm more like saving, doing what I can to plan for it. Because
Sure.
from what I've gathered with all the walks that I do every day, is that you can get a lot of stuff fixed and a lot of stuff thought about if you walk like 7 miles a day.
Yeah,
There's
you've
so
been walking a lot, right?
yeah, there's been so many times that I've been like so mad, but instead of yelling or instead of venting, there's a couple of times I'll vent on like Facebook and then I'll stop and I'm like, no, I'll delete that post because everybody, we all know it. We just might as well go ahead and say it. You can post some sad stuff on Facebook, but there's people don't care. They just look at it, they shake their head. If they're really good friends like me and you, they'll reach out. Hey man, what? And instead of posting that, and instead of trying to encourage, people to like call it, just reach out to people and hey,
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I called you so far, and I say, "Hey, dude, I'm just calling to say hi." You
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah, no,
have a
I
reason.
appreciate that. It's pretty rare, you know, it it's rare that people call me to, just to say what's up, and a big part of like the team that I was building is people that I'm very close to that share my passion, like my ambassadors, like Tommy and Chad. I talk to those guys 4 or 5 times a week sometimes, and I need close people like that. So like when you call, I think it was last week. I don't remember. It was last week or the week before. But just to call and bullshit, I appreciate that a lot. It really means a lot to me. The fact that somebody's going to go out of their way to just make a phone call just to check up. I love it. But that's why you'll never really see me comment on any of those posts. I'll just call you, because I'd rather I don't need people seeing that I'm reaching out. That's just I think when people comment on posts like that, there's a lot of virtue signaling going on and just saying like, "Oh, I'm a good person. Look, I care." Some people do care, they don't really know what to do and they just make a comment, but I would rather stay away from that. I want people seeing that I commented or anything, so I just call the person. It's
Right.
But I have found sometimes, I've had people telling me like I need to stop putting so much shit on Facebook. Why? Every time I make a post,
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it. Right? So not too long ago, I think it was in it was right before I found out I had cancer. I think it was in September. I was going through a real depression spell, which it was probably the cancer. I don't know. Maybe my body was trying to tell me like, "Hey, something's wrong, dude." But I was super depressed, and I was going to the gym every single day. I went for like 45 days straight just to get the endorphin release, to make myself happy. And it eventually worked. But there's one was like I was at my worst, and I commented just saying, "Hey, you know what?" I was like, I've been going through a weird depression. And I was like, for some reason, I feel like my world is crumbling down inside me. And I'm happy. I have everything I need. Like, I'm running a nonprofit. I'm happy. I get to help people. Like, even when I'm helping people, like, I have a good attitude and everything. But as soon as I
Right.
get out the phone, it's just severe depression. And it's like, I don't know what's happening. Something that I've realized that it's okay. It's okay to be like this. It's okay to feel like this. But what's not okay is to hide it. Right. So that's what I posted somewhere along those lines. And, I had people commenting on there just saying thank you and stuff like that. But I got messages from people, and I will never say who they are, but they said, "Why do you post crap like this?" Right? You don't need the people seeing that you're weak, that you're weak. Vulnerability is not weak. And that is the biggest thing that we need to stop doing as Americans, right? As people. Stop thinking that vulnerability is weakness. My vulnerability is not weakness. It's my strength because I put everything out there on the table. Anybody can openly judge me, right? You get everybody else posting like the Facebook life, right? Like all their hikes and all
Right.
the fun shit that they're doing, like the fact that they're going through a divorce or anything like that. Not saying that you should, but like I want to be 100% authentic. And every time I post through something, I don't post it as a negative poor me thing. But what I do is I always say like this is what I'm going through and this is what I've been thinking about. I was like, but I know this will pass and I know I will get over this and I know I will beat this. However, right now it's been difficult. But I always get people that reach out and say, I'm in the same spot, man, and I don't know what to do. Right. And then my brain switches from, I'm going through something to education. Now I need to help that person. And when I help people, I get so much out of it that it actually helps bring myself out. So me helping people with what they're going through literally helps me get over my depression all the time. So
That's
doing
awesome.
what you're doing is not a bad thing. I actually like seeing that because you're being vulnerable. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's just
All right.
that's a show of strength, man. So like every time you do that, again, like I said, I don't like to comment on shit like that, but I will call you every time I see
Right.
something like that. So
Right.
get
But
used to hearing from me.
but yeah, and even when I quit smoking, like every time I get like anything that's ever wrong, anytime I ever have like a craving or I'm upset or anything, I walk. I'll walk. And like there's a point which I found that out Saturday because I nearly walked 19 miles Saturday.
Man, I don't
And
ever want to walk 19 miles. It sounds terrible.
well, like
I'm just kidding.
like the next day, like I was good. I didn't feel it, but then like the next day, I was having a hard time walking with my right foot. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I gotta slow down this a little bit. So I'm
Yeah.
at a point where I don't feel it until the next day.
Yeah.
So my next goal that I'm trying to accomplish. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, Nick. Okay, but hey, look, you know what? I'm gonna try. me and my friend was we were researching Guinness World of Records. It's talking about 142 miles in a day is the world record. Well, we all know that that's probably power walking, and that probably has nothing to do with disabilities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, instead of worrying about like world records or anything like that, uh, during the summer, like May or June, I think, and I was going to talk to you about this, but I
Sure.
think I'm going to start a fundraiser, Walk for a Warrior, and people kind of like place bets, saying, okay, you know what, if and I'm gonna try to walk from DIA to Colorado Springs, and then I'm gonna try to walk from
Yeah.
Colorado Springs back to DIA, and my goal is to make it in there in a day. Will it happen? I don't know, but it would be awesome if, I did something like that. And basically, all I know is that, okay, if I walk from here to Denver to Colorado Springs, I'm guaranteed the MBR or the veteran groups that are a part of this, they're guaranteed this amount of money. I think that would be awesome, but I don't know how you would do that.
Well, here's the thing. It's 84 miles would be the distance, right? So the average person walks about 3 miles an hour, or 3 to 4 miles an hour, and that's about 96 miles. So you would have to walk for, if you pick up the pace a little bit, you could
Yeah.
do it in like 20 hours.
Okay.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Gotta get some Rip It energy, by the way. Warriors Next Adventure is sponsored by Rip It Energy. So hell yeah, I love Rip It. Rip It Energy sponsored a race team this year. They're absolutely
Awesome.
amazing. Yeah, I love those guys. I finally found some Rip Its too. Like they're so hard to find these days, but there's a Menards by us that sells them. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
buy a case. But yeah, dude, if you end up doing that, man, when are you thinking about doing it?
I don't know. I've gotta train up, I feel like I need to do at least like 20 or 30 miles a day on like a regular basis, for me to be able, because I've got to, I'm sure I'm gonna have to train my feet. I don't know why, but walking in a mall hurts my right foot a lot more than walking on the sidewalk. I
Hmm.
don't know why, but it does. It's different walking in the mall compared to walking outside or walking on the asphalt. I don't know
Yeah.
if you knew that or not.
No, I never really realized that. I mean, I should know. I always have crappy shoes. So, hey, we only got like 2 minutes left. So,
Okay.
we got to cut here in a minute. But one more thing, you are actually a WeDefy sponsored athlete, and I am your athlete engagement mentor. Kind of cool how that worked out, right? So,
Yeah.
a lot of people
And then
don't
it works
realize
as
that.
a squad leader.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of people don't realize that I volunteer for WeDefy as well. I'm on their athlete engagement team, and then I'm working with TJ, the VP, doing some background stuff, helping out with some gyms stuff. So it's like it fits my mission, so why not? But it was nice to finally meet you, man. Thank you for having me on your show. I figured I'd definitely return the favor.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for your journey and everything you've been through. Like I said, 2008 to 2014, learning how to ski and being in the Paralympic. That's amazing. So, you have a fantastic story, dude, and I'm happy to call you my friend.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much, Nick. And thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate this.
Of course, man. I'm gonna have it on Spotify and everything like that within the next like day or two too as well. So I'm gonna
Okay.
drop you off. I got to do my sign off. Don't go anywhere because I want to chat with you after we're done. Okay.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, later, bud. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate all the support that we get through Veterans Action Report, Warriors Next Adventure, and Houses for Warriors. We're extremely grateful for all of you guys following us. This show is a fantastic platform, and thank you to KGRA for giving this to us. Our reach is so much farther than it's ever been with Warriors Next Adventure podcast. So thank you guys, and thank you to all the listeners. Any veterans out there needing any help, go ahead and contact us at Nick at veteran what is it, I forgot my own email, nick.varradio@gmail.com. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Perfect.